We were talking today about contracts
Yes.
in sports, not wrestling. We're talking about baseball, actually. And
Well, the big boy got 360 million today.
you believe that? I remember when Shaq signed for 40. It was 8 years, 40 million in
No,
92.
no, it was 8 years for 140.
Are you sure his first contract with,
No,
with
I mean
Orlando?
oh no, that one, yeah, but it wasn't eight because he only played like 4 seasons
Then it was
with
maybe it was
Orlando.
five, maybe it was five for 40, and it was 8 million a year. The number $40 million. I just remember being floored by the number.
I remember when like Juwan Howard was like Juwan Howard got 110, Garnett got 120, and then when Shaq moved to the Lakers, Jerry West said, I can't give you 160, but I can give you 140. And Shaq got 140 when he first walked in with the Lakers.
Yeah.
There's on HBO right now, on HBO Max, every Wednesday. So tonight will be the third episode. They drop a thing, and it's a like a docuseries on Shaq. Like Shaq's sister's like 6'3", his brother's like 6. Like they're like big. Like, everybody's big. I really personally think Shaq's like a class act and a smart businessman. Like I saw a thing the other day on Instagram where he was just standing there and this little kid came up and he was in a group of people, but he was on the outside and of the group, and this little kid came up and hugged Shaq by his leg, and you could see Shaq look down, and as he was walking away, the kid looked back and Shaq said, "No, come here, man." And he just stopped what he was doing, and he just held the kid so the parents could take a picture of him with the kid, and then he just kind of tapped him on his butt or tapped him or whatever, just said something to him, and the kid went off, and he continued his. But it was just so that it wasn't for show. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't know that there was another camera on him, And I just looked at that and I said, that's just somebody that just got kind gene in him.
Yeah. He went to school here in Jersey. I don't know if they cover that in the.
He ended up, I think he went to his final high school was in Dallas, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, he moved, but his early high school years were here in either Newark or Jersey City. But
it was Newark.
It wasn't Newark? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely Newark.
But what we were talking about after that was how these franchises get this morality clause into contracts now. And, I mean, you could have the discussion, what is morality, right? So it's basically their escape hatch. If anything hits the paper, right? And, of course, we'd be foolish to think it doesn't correlate with how you're doing on that team. Do we need an escape hatch, or will we weather the storm with you, Kobe? Will we stand behind you, Kobe? Or, if it's someone riding the pine, it's a way to get out of that contract. So I want to drill down a little bit here. I went to get some information from a law firm about the morals clause, which is kind of a relatively new thing. I looked at an NFL contract from 2012, I think, and I did not see a morality clause anywhere in there.
No, you could also hit the quarterback.
You could tackle the quarterback.
You could actually touch the quarterback back then.
So VLP Law Group says the morals clause is often one of the most highly negotiated and important provisions in an endorsement deal. It allows the sponsor either to suspend or terminate a sponsorship agreement in the event that the athlete, celebrity, or other endorser violates the clause. So think of this in terms of if you get, Nike or Adidas, both of which have been in the news recently, with some of their endorsements. So behavior that is criminal, that is scandalous, or might tarnish the advertiser's brand is typically deemed to violate the morals clause. Defining what constitutes scandalous behavior can be a key issue for the advertiser and this can often be a sticking point in sponsorship contract negotiations. The advertiser usually wants a broad definition, so it has more discretion to terminate or suspend the agreement. The athlete, celebrity, or endorser, in contrast, usually wants a much more narrow definition in order to make the relevant standard a less subjective one. From an advertiser's perspective, it is very important to define clearly what type of conduct is considered a violation of the clause, so fewer questions arise when a potential violation occurs. Was there morality language when you signed? I have a WWE contract here from 2017 that I'm going to read. There's a sub-level to that, and this is what I have the problem with. For example, let's take an easy example for all of our listeners to understand. On Broadway, Lea Michele was returning to was going to be hired to be the lead in Funny Girl, and she's in there now, and she was in Glee, the TV show. So big star coming back to Broadway. So a young lady who Lea Michele must have worked with on another show begins to accuse her of being mean. Microaggressions in the dressing room and during rehearsal is what she accused her of. And there was a vocal enough contingent in the Broadway community to attempt to ostracize Lea Michele and critical of the production for bringing her back, for bringing her to the show. When was being mean enough? This is the part that really sticks in my craw. Racism, very cut and dry. We know the deleterious effects of that. You've been on X amount of productions. You've worked as a professional on camera in wrestling, so that's entertainment. There's a production schedule. Tensions are running high. There's deadlines, live television. Was everybody fucking nice that you worked for? And the sub-question is, weren't there people who probably weren't considered nice who were brilliant at their job?
You know, that's like that. I mean, we played the Christian Bale thing.
Right.
And, you know, but nobody knows, you know, they could have went from working overtime 6 days in a row and then going from a day shoot to a night shoot and being all, and he didn't get his proper sleep. And, like, you don't know the it's like he's speaking the person's name when he's talking to him. Like, it's when you're on a set, like, it doesn't matter if it's Thanksgiving, you can still motherfuck your uncle. You know, just because it's Thanksgiving, and I mean, it's just that's my whole thing. So, and nobody's on all the time. That's like Kyrie Irving lost. I don't know what did he lose to, I mean, in that Nike deal.
Yeah, well, I have that here.
Let me see.
11 million.
All right, and that's a season, though, right?
Yeah.
11 million a year. I think he had a $40 million contract or something like that.
Actually, I should say that was his last completed season with Nike was 11 million. So the future might have been even more the next season.
So my question with that whole situation is, if Kanye, because I'm not calling you Ye, splash Spawn in his outfit, if he doesn't do what he does, Kyrie doesn't get sucked into that tube, because all Kyrie did was put out a tweet that brought you to something. He didn't say, hey, I watched this and this is what I felt. He just brought your attention to something. But because Kanye had already agitated the situation, he got let's throw the other brother in the heat. And he was just like, whoa. And then it became a situation of, hey, man, he's a grown man. Like, I ain't going to bow to that. I wasn't talking, he didn't apologize quick enough.
What was the apology, really, that they cited as the reason that he wouldn't apologize?
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to apologize for something I didn't do, even if you do put a gun in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Because in his mind, he didn't do anything. Then he realized, fuck, I'm going to get thrown under the bus because I'm already linked with this dude who was wrong. And see, that's my whole problem. You know, it's we talked about Franken. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like the situation with Franken. Franken, she's passed out. He's this far from her breast. They take a picture. He gets the same treatment as Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein, because he brings the whole boat down. Yeah.
Right. So that's what I mean. So it's just like, I think that's the thing that you've got to, and I would hope that, I guess I'm speaking right now to the person that runs the HR department. Because that's what it comes down to. You know, it's the human resource, and it's almost like it's the human resource department of our fucking lives. That's what we got right now. We got you get up every morning and you don't even see the motherfucker, but there's an HR person with you all day long. Everything you type, because now it used to be you typed it and you got heat. Now they ask you, what you just tweeted seems a little offensive. Are you sure you want to send it? Yes, motherfucker. That's why I typed it the first time. Boom.
The social HR department.
That's it. That's what we got. We got the social HR department. You know, it's not, and you know what? It ain't about woke. It ain't about nothing else. It's just about how can I restrict your freedom? That's what they want to do. They just want to restrict your freedom.
Tiger Woods loses deals with Accenture, AT&T, Gatorade, and Buick. They estimate around $22 million in those 4 contracts. When this is back when in 2009 was that the car accident, and then his wife, the divorce. Now there's an incident, right? No crime, similar
Right.
to Kyrie Irving, right? No crime,
Right.
but the moral violation. So now we've got 4 advertisers.
I think Tiger's. I think that that what Tiger did was, I mean, it was much more black and white of a situation. He was basically serial banging on his wife, who was hot, and that's the problem. If Joe that doesn't get any can't wrap his brain around it, then boy, you're really wrong. I mean, tweeting something about an anti-Semitic film that you know that you can pull up and watch is one thing. Banging some girls at a Perkins when you could wait and go home to her, that's a kid. Like, if I'm Buick, I'm dropping you.
Because you can't understand it.
I can't understand that. I mean, that's apples and oranges, man.
That'd be a great statement, right, from the ad department of Buick if they went. And furthermore, we cannot understand with a hot piece of ass at home like this, Tiger, why you would continue this behavior. We're terminating our agreement with Tiger Woods, effective immediately. Thank you. Michael Vick. See, now this was different because this was a crime which resulted in a conviction with the dogfighting ring. So he loses all. He Nike, Reebok, Airtran, Rawlings, Donruss, Upper Deck.
He does time.
Yeah, 21 months, I think. Yeah. So this is so much more cut and dry because he breaks the law and he's convicted and he goes to jail. So, you know, obviously, Reebok wants you to wear their shit because they want you to wear it on the field. Not at yard time in San Quentin.
Yeah. No, there's not a whole lot of coverage.
But now Phelps, the swimmer, the 23 gold medal winning swimmer, the most decorated Olympian in American history. I'll say that again. The most decorated Olympian in American history. 23 gold medals.
Almost like if you took half of them away, you could still say that.
Yeah, you're correct. A picture surfaces of him at a college party smoking a joint. And he lost his sponsorship. He did have some sponsors that stood by. I think Subway was a sponsor that stayed with him. He loses Kellogg's. Later on in 2014, he's arrested for a DUI. Again, different ball game because you're talking about a crime. But it's hard to believe because we're at a time now where there he is. We're at a time now. That has to be the Post. That has to be the fucking Post.
Unbelievable.
New York Post, no question. Get confirmation from me. But here again, let's get back to some of what we were talking about here with the contracts, the morality clause. I had a few more names.
We did take a little bit of a left turn there.
And this is what we do, baby. This is what we do. I didn't guardrail you. I let you go.
Not bad.
We took the exit you wanted to take. Magic Johnson lost KFC, Target, and Converse when he announced he was HIV positive. Can you imagine that in this day and age? I mean, it was 1991, so it was a different world, everybody. But it was. Many corporate sponsors pledged to stand by him initially when he made the announcement. Publicly, they said they would. So let me clarify. But behind closed doors, however, several companies began quietly distancing themselves from the basketball legend. Some, like Target and Kentucky Fried Chicken, just simply failed to renew the contract when it expired. So they didn't bail, they just didn't renew. They said their decisions had nothing to do with the illness. Converse and Pepsi pledged to stay with him, although Magic actually walked away from Converse shortly thereafter. The stigma of AIDS. 80s to early 90s. It probably started changing in the mid-90s, I would say. A little bit more of a compassionate view.
Cocktail, kind of. Yeah, once they got the cocktail.
Yeah,
where people weren't, but that, that era, like, when Hanks portrays in Philadelphia and, Dallas Buyers Club.
That was a...
my first cousin, Michael, died of AIDS, like, before it was, like, even really known what it was.
Yeah,
he died of AIDS.
Warren Sapp loses a Bud Light and Zipa, which is a anti-snoring mouthpiece, when he's fired by the NFL Network after being arrested in a prostitution sting on Super Bowl weekend, 2015. So soon after that, the Hall of Famers dropped by corporate sponsors, including Bud Light and Zipa. The charges against him are later dropped after he completes a prostitution solicitation counseling program. What does that consist of?
Yeah, I'd like to see that pamphlet.
Yeah. And the classes. A program. So it's multiple sessions.
That's just like those DUI things, man. That's just one more way for them to get,
couple of bucks.
Yeah, get some cash out of you. Come on, there's no fucking you know what you mean. The only difference between the prostitution game when you first realize it exists is it's streetwalkers, and then as you get older you realize it's like high price. Then it becomes like the Charlie Sheen when they're like, "Gee, Charlie, I can't believe that a guy like you has to pay for a piece of ass." And he says, "No, I'm not paying for a piece of ass. I'm paying for the right to tell him to get the fuck out of my house." And
the agreement, you're paying for the agreement.
Yeah. what's the difference in going out to dinner and drinking a couple bottles of Cristal, followed off with an Opus.
Opus X, the Fuente.
Fucking throwing a Mick Ultra down her throat and hitting it in the hotel room and giving her 1,500 to count out as she puts her shoe on, preferably a unhooved foot.
And Carlin said, in considering the illegal nature of prostitution, selling's legal, fucking's legal. Why isn't selling fucking legal?
Right.
Different world.
Carlin, yeah, this is